Tekken 8, a video game that has quickly garnered a reputation and praise as one of the most polished at launch fighting games ever. Turning heads and making swift sounds simultaneously, this game delivered exactly the sort of Tekken experience that fans had been looking for, with many noting that this acclaimed title was much more feature-rich than its competitors, such as Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6 for example. Journalists, fighting game aficionados and the more casual general public were mostly in agreement that this fighter was a worthy purchase, which unlike its modern contemporaries wasn't trying to do everything possible to penny pinch as many post-game purchases as possible. So while this is the case, this begs the question, what has changed that has soured so many people's opinions on this game so much? Well, let's explore. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. Hit that subscribe button because this is why Tekken 8 is causing outrage. Yeah! When it comes to the huge fighting games released in the last 12 months, Tekken 8 became the title that gained recognition as the most consumer friendly of the big three. Out of all of these initially, it was Mortal Kombat that rubbed most consumers the wrong way. Fans swiftly noticed that this American-produced title seemed to be incredibly predatory, with the experience being rife with microtransactions, including even needing a DLC character to open a chest in Invasion's game mode. At launch, some spent as much as a disgusting $120 for the premium edition of the game, only to very quickly learn that the greedy publishers expected consumers to fork out more if they wanted to enjoy some of this video game's fatalities. You know, the gory spectacles that have always acted as one of the key selling points and the very reason people gravitated to this series in the first place. With Mortal Kombat 1's reputation down the toilet in the eyes of many shoppers, at least we had Street Fighter 6 right. But this video game's inclusion of microtransactions has not been free from criticism either. The game's fighter coin system has been riling up fans, especially when it comes to the game's third set of outfits, which cannot be unlocked in any way in World Tour mode and instead must be purchased with real-world cash. In total, if someone wanted access to all of these costumes, players would be looking at paying $100. Absolutely intelligence insulting, in my opinion. The ridiculousness doesn't stop there though, as the most shameless and infamous example of cool costumes being locked behind a paywall was the fiasco involving the Ninja Turtles. An interesting brand crossover allowing players to buy costumes to dress up as the famous foursome. But buying these 4 shell suits costs close to an astonishing $60. You know, the full retail price of the game itself at launch, for nothing more than a couple of digital skins. Oh, how I hate that modern gaming has come to this. With all of these shenanigans going on simultaneously, when Tekken 8 debuted with its expansive roster, rich amount of play modes, and incredible amount of costumes included, most felt that Tekken 8 was the most consumer friendly of the trio, and a breath of fresh air from the predatory practices that players are witnessing currently being implemented within the competition's games. The title was released to rave reviews and many people couldn't stop talking about how much more respect that they were being treated with by the publishers of this game than that of the people behind the NetherRealm Studios and Capcom's offerings. So when and why exactly was it that the public discourse began to change around this title? Just over 1 month after its initial release, the safe, warm embrace that Tekken had around people already began to start feeling a little bit more like a tight squeeze, with alarm bells first starting to ring with the announcement that the title would be introducing a premium in-game shop. Bandai Namco would quickly promote that this digital storefront would receive new content on offer every month, including legacy character costumes and avatar skins, with such media being purchasable with a virtual currency using real-world cash. While not sounding too heinous compared to some of the examples we've discussed, it is Bandai Namco's price anchoring strategy that would instantly rub many Tekken fans the wrong way.
Brother,
Regarding this practice, IGN outlines that this is a promo strategy that suggests higher cost options are of better value because they're set against lower cost options. In the game, 500 Tekken coins cost $4.99, which suggests 1,000 Tekken coins would cost $9.99. But you get 1,050 Tekken coins for $9.99 instead. The pricier the bundle, the better the deal. Some financially savvy consumers would swiftly notice that some of these deals don't actually make any sense at all, and instead appear to solely exist to psychologically coax players into spending even more cash. The backlash to this which ensued would be enough to gain the attention of Tekken Commander-in-Chief Katsuhiro Harada, with him claiming that such practices were necessary due to the rising costs of video game development, adding that it cost them close to triple the amount of money making Tekken 8 than it did the previous entry in the series. He would add that in the past there weren't so many specs, and there wasn't online, plus they didn't have such high resolution and high definition. Now so many people want the game to run and be supported for a long time. It costs money to continually update the game for that reason, with the addition of a Tekken shop being considered mild by some. Considering that it revolves around mostly purchasing cosmetics, others have felt more frustrated that in addition to the store, further additional paid content is also being rolled out. During the latest Tekken Talk livestream, the developers working on Tekken 8 unveiled that a Battle Pass was also coming to the game. Known as the Tekken Fight Pass, it will let players procure items via beating challenges over limited periods. With players already able to purchase new characters via DLC packs, the Battle Pass system is seen as more controversial. Chris Scullion, a gentleman who works for Video Game Chronicle, would highlight some of the anger expressed by Tekken players. An audience who feel perturbed that they already paid out for a $70 base game recently, who would now need to make additional microtransactions post-launch to experience everything Tekken 8 has to offer them. Collated responses include some claiming they would have never purchased the expansive collector's edition of the game if they knew just 2 months later that both a Tekken shop and battle passes would be patched into the game. Others expressed that although this is a full-priced game, Bandai Namco act like people got it for free, and that video game companies are continuing to stoop notoriously low to bleed every last microtransaction out of people. Speaking of microtransactions, while this show is free for you, my lovely viewer, to watch twice every single week, for those who want to support this channel in a more personal way, I've decided to pour love into additional videos, supplementing these episodes just for you. So, to hear about my childhood memories of experiencing the original microtransaction-free Tekken trilogy in its prime, click the link in the pinned comment and back the show over on Patreon. Cost of living is at its highest it's ever been in my life in the UK, and I won't be forced to stop making content just because my government are incompetent assholes. Every Patreon backer helps ensure the longevity of this channel, so I'd be grateful for any support. Remember, Big Daddy Top Hat, love you long time. Cheeky plugs aside, and directly back on the subject of paying more with Tekken 8, Game Rant note that over on the cesspool that is Reddit, one particular post has gained over 800 upvotes, stating that Tekken's new Battle Pass is scummy. Building on this, some internet users seem to be outraged over falsely believing that by purchasing the Ultimate Edition of the game, that they would have just naturally received all early DLC content and season passes in the process.
Wrong.
However, it is not just the inclusion of the Tekken shop and Fight Pass that annoys people, but perhaps more so how these additional features have both been introduced. As stated at points earlier in the video, many recently expressed a preference for Tekken 8 over Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6, as it seemed to be a modern title free of these sort of predatory corporate shenanigans. However, now some feel even more annoyed about Tekken, as at least Capcom with their Street Fighter 6 title have been upfront that they were going to pull these kind of stunts from the beginning. You have to remember that this is the very same Capcom who back in the 16-bit era would repeatedly release different editions of Street Fighter 2 for full retail price on the same hardware. In fact, if I can recall, Turbo Hyper Fighting was actually above retail price, and at launch was the most expensive Super Nintendo game to purchase for the system. Most other games in the series seem to feature similarly expensive incremental updates, and Street Fighter V was scummily released before the game was even finished. However, in most cases, we have received traditionally better treatment when it comes to Tekken, which perhaps explains why some people feel so pissed off regarding this swerve. In fact, some have gone as far as to claim that they believe Bandai Namco have behaved dishonestly, and have been planning these features for a long time, but have been choosing to hide their existence from the paying public. Video Game Chronicle notes that one internet user posted they always knew there was going to be a Tekken shop and Battle Pass, but yet spoon-fed it to the community because they knew there would have been backlash if they told us from the beginning. Another user adds that they feel like Bamco have catfished them, and they feel disgusted as the company would have always known they were going to do it this way.
What's that? What's that, brother?
Others speculate that the reason as to why the Japanese entity chose to do this so stealthily was so that Tekken 8 looked squeaky clean during its launch window, to avoid any backlash when the optimum amount of people was showering the game with praise. One Tekken player adds regarding the game that even if people were still on the fence about it, most of them probably still bought it shortly after launch, after hearing all of the praise surrounding it. Once everyone was on board, they finally revealed the true agenda. As much as I'd love for it to be a better explanation, it is the way it is. To be fair to all of the general discourse around the way this game has been rolled out, there does seem to be a strong element of truth surrounding the way the Tekken fandom have been treated. So I completely understand why so many gamers seem to feel aggrieved over this situation. However, at the other end of the debate, I can see why Bandai Namco are so keen to generate additional funds. I just think that they could have been more transparent about their processes in the first place. Speaking of transparency, all of my videos on YouTube have to be delivered in very particular ways in order to hold that sweet retention time and guarantee views. So I'm looking forward to having the reins taken off and being able to speak more naturally on topics over on Patreon. So get more raw natural content, support the channel and talk with me one-on-one by heading over to Patreon right now to nostalgically reminisce about the Tekken trilogy. Those were the days. Click the pinned comment now. Yeah, cheerio.